Hello and welcome to Why Wasn't It Better? I am your host, Patrick Darms.
And I'm your co-host, Anton Paras.
On this episode, we're talking about one of the strangest films in the career of one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, Alfred Hitchcock. Today, it's Under Capricorn. Not one of his well-known films, nor is it well-regarded. But why? In the vast filmography of Alfred Hitchcock, could this be some kind of forgotten, overlooked gem, or does it deserve its place on the ash heap of film history? Anton, always fun to talk some more Hitchcock with you. We are rapidly approaching the end of season 10.
My goodness, it's amazing. Always good to think about just, I don't know, is it just like the different, is it a funnel when we think about some of these directors and the amount of films that they've watched? And upper funnel, there's like a lot of films that the director's kind of learning, and then like there's a very small amount, high percentage at the very bottom that are like, this is gold. I mean, at least that seems to be the case for Hitchcock.
I think so. I mean, it's really hard to tell with him because I haven't seen so many of his films. I was actually trying to compile a list to prepare for this episode. Like, how many of them have I not seen?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you want to count the silent stuff.
I mean, I think like, you know what that kind of reminds me of? I was like, do we want to count baseball games from the 1800s and
I mean,
the official?
You could if you wanted to. I mean, I don't plan on seeing any of his silent stuff. We're not going to go that deep on the pod. But I haven't seen any of those. I haven't seen a lot of the stuff that he did in Britain, primarily in the 30s. I've only seen a handful of those. Mm-hmm. I've seen most of his Hollywood stuff, but there's still, a handful that I haven't. But I've seen like enough of them at this point that I have a good idea of what he was about, and he's certainly one of my favorite filmmakers. And this is the third of his films that we've covered, right? Torn Curtain and Dial M for Murder. And this will be the oldest film we've ever covered so far, by the way.
It's impressive in that, right? But I think it really is interesting. Talking about Hitchcock, I was surprised to see there's a lot of references nowadays there's a bit of an uptick on TikTok specifically. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. Like Hitchcock is popular for like some TikTok edits specifically around like his older films, and yeah, there's a bit of a surgence there.
A big support for Under Capricorn?
I haven't seen specifically Under Capricorn, but
well, that doesn't surprise me. If anyone was thinking about getting into Hitchcock, I would not recommend starting with this film. That's all I have to say for now.
Starting on the ground floor, Under Capricorn.
Do you want to start with the least successful ones? Because I guess that would make sense to start here.
This is like the HMS Pinafore of musicals. It's like, do you want to start with like where musicals were not great? I don't know.
I wouldn't. It's like, why don't you start with some good ones?
I think that's usually a good bet.
But yeah, season 10 is just about in the wraps. There's going to be, I think, 2 more films after this that we're covering. This will come out the same week as Independence Day. And then Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince will be the season finale. So we're coming up on the end of it. And of course, it goes without saying, we don't take breaks here at Why Wasn't It Better? We're going to be getting right in to season 11. After Harry Potter, there's going to be the season recap. We may do an in-between episode. I was thinking maybe we could do either like Hoppers maybe, or the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
I'd be more interested to talk about Hoppers.
I think I would be too. All right, it's decided. You heard it here first, folks. We're going to be covering Hoppers as the in-between episode.
Woo!
If you want to do an in-between episode, I don't know. We don't have to.
Sure, why not? We're having fun. We're having fun here.
We're having fun. Anton, I did not have fun watching this film, though. I got to tell you.
We are burying no leads.
Burying no leads. I did not enjoy this film. Why don't you intro this for us and we can get into it?
Alrighty. Released on September 8th, 1949 by Transatlantic Pictures and Warner Brothers. Directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Screenplay by James Bertie. Adaptation by Hume Cronin. based on the play by John Colton and Margaret Linden, which in turn is based on the novel Under Capricorn by Helen Simpson, starring Michael Wilding, Ingrid Bergman, Joseph Colton, and Margaret Leighton.
Cotten,
with a budget
Joseph Cotten.
Oh yeah, why did I read that weird?
It doesn't matter.
Budget budget $3 million, $40 million adjusted for inflation. Box office of $2.66 million, so that's $36 million adjusted for inflation, and a 53% Rotten Tomatoes score. Poison and Passion in 1831 Australia. A young man is shocked to find that his genteel cousin, married to a tough ex-con who has found wealth in the penal colony, has taken to the bottle. His efforts to restore her spirits turn into more tender affections, but the actions of malevolent housekeepers spark a chain of events that climax with a shocking revelation. That sounds so much more exciting than the film.
I have to say, that description sounds like it could be a porn.
It really could be, because it's positioned in a way to be dramatic, but it's also like, what?
Was she actually his cousin? I pulled this description from Google, and I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember that.
Okay, maybe that's wrong then. If so, I don't apologize because I don't care that much. You were probably going to ask me why I chose this.
Oh yeah, of course. Why did you choose this, Pat?
Well, we are keeping up with trying to cover a Hitchcock film every season now, and there are so many films of his to pull from. I've been trying to go through some different decades. Mm-hmm. We covered a film from the 50s with Dial M for Murder, then the 60s with Torn Curtain. I thought, why not go even farther back into his filmography? The last film that he did in the 1940s, Under Capricorn. And frankly, I kind of just picked this name off the list of his films just because I had never seen it and I really didn't know anything about it. I had no familiarity with this. And it's not because of my lack of trying. Like I mentioned before, I've seen a lot of his works, and I always made a point when I was younger to watch Hitchcock stuff when it was on Turner Classic Movies or AMC or whatnot. I don't recall this one ever popping up, and I even asked my dad about it. Now, my dad is in his 70s, huge Hitchcock fan. He hadn't seen this either. So this just is not one of the well-known films. Had you seen this?
So I've heard of this film, but I actually have not seen this before. And so I don't know. That's as far as I probably should say. It's a film I've not seen before.
It's a film.
Yeah.
Well, but it's not like we're living under a rock, right? This is not like, wait, you haven't seen Psycho? This was just a failure when it came out. It was unavailable for many years, which we'll talk about why. You read the Rotten Tomatoes score. It's not well regarded even by critics. It's one of his most forgotten works. You never see it ranked high on like a Hitchcock list of films. That Rotten Tomatoes score is one of the lowest for any of his works, 53%. Not that that means anything. You know, it doesn't mean everything. I thought it would be interesting to cover, and I'm sorry because it wasn't.
I think if anything, it's maybe this is a good lesson for our younger listeners. Like, even if you try and you don't succeed, you keep at it, you be a master of craft, eventually you can become a legend.
I take back what I said. I don't know that it hasn't been fun to cover because we just started covering it.
Right.
I'll let you know in about an hour.
There we go.
I still think, having seen it now, it is a worthy candidate for Why Wasn't It Better, because there would have been hype for this. By 1949, Hitchcock was a huge name in Hollywood. There would have been hype for his films. Ingrid Bergman and Joseph Cotten were major stars at the time. Mm-hmm. And this is essentially based on a very popular novel, by all accounts, from 1937.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the hype for this would have been at least somewhat there in 1949, and audiences just didn't take to it. Another reason, Anton, is this is pretty much an outlier in Hitchcock's filmography, a period piece, a costume drama.
Yeah,
it's not something he usually does.
Usually more of his films are grounded in the modern time. So take of that what you will. Wanting to go to New South Wales.
Right. In 1831, no less. Maybe that explains why there's no Australian accents in this film. Maybe that accent hadn't developed yet. I don't know.
Crikey, mate.
Crikey. If you're a linguist, write in and tell us why there are no Australian accents in this film. I'd love to know. You got a very quizzical look on your face.
I was just thinking, like, well,
wouldn't,
if as the penal colony, wouldn't that accent develop over time?
I think so. Because Australia, obviously you had the Aboriginals who were there for thousands and thousands of years. But I'm thinking in 1831, it wouldn't have been developed for long. That would have began sometime in the 1700s. I think.
Yeah. I need to go back and watch Australia with Hugh Jackman.
That's on our list to cover, you know.
Yeah. I knew.
Not exactly a corker, is it?
No.
Was that a musical?
No, it wasn't. But me saying I should go back and watch it is a bit of a joke, isn't it?
I don't remember it being good.
There are really good Australian films with Australia as the backdrop.
Plenty of grave stuff.
Mad Max.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff that George Miller did. One of my all-time favorite filmmakers, Peter Weir.
Right.
If you've ever seen, Picnic at Hanging Rock?
Dude, deep cut.
Yeah, deep cut, great movie. Peter Weir. Film people know how good Peter Weir is, but I don't know if the average person. He really is one of my all-time favorite filmmakers.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of other Australian films.
Oh, there's plenty. There's plenty of stuff. I'm terrible at remembering stuff off the top of my head, but don't worry, Australia. We got you.
Yeah.
We'll do better than Under Capricorn. Don't worry. Under Capricorn, Anton, I'd like to keep this recording under an hour.
All right. Let's go for it.
But before we get to the production history, we have to talk about the 6 degrees of Warren Beatty's sex life, which is our prevailing theory that all films can be connected via the sexual conquests of Warren Beatty. Joseph Cotten is our connector here, Anton. By way of George Kennedy, Helen Reddy, Joseph Cotten, much, much later in his career, would appear in Airport 77 alongside George Kennedy, who was in Airport 1975 with Helen Reddy, who had a thing with Warren Beatty. We are going to be covering Airport 77 soon, my friend. So get ready. If you think you got enough Joseph Cotten from this film, you're going to get more of him.
All right. Right on.
You want to see older, disinterested, clearly just showing up for a paycheck Joseph Cotten.
Get paid.
Yeah. You know who's getting paid in that film? Do you know James Stewart is in Airport 77?
Of course. Jimmy Stewart?
Yeah. Do you think he's even aware he's in a movie when he's in there?
Nope.
No. Nope. You know what I'm talking about, right? The role where he's just like, oh, yeah, my plane crashed in the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, well, actually.
Oh, man. Just send the money directly to my account.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh.
The plane's crashed.
He wasn't on it, though. I wonder if they offered it to him. He's like, I'm not doing stunt work. No. Production history for this film, it's very brief. Why don't you read it for us?
So, the film stars Ingrid Bergman, reuniting her with Alfred Hitchcock after Spellbound and Notorious. Hitchcock was very eager to work with her again and built the project largely around her. It's based on a 1937 novel by Helen Simpson, which helps explain why the story leans so heavily into melodrama rather than suspense. Adaptation by Hume Cronin, the same actor married to Jessica Tandy, and the same actor who played the old Muppet-like Supreme Court Justice in The Pelican Brief.
I thought you'd enjoy that.
That is so funny. Oh, gosh.
Who would have thought?
That visual in my head. That's funny. The film was shot entirely on a soundstage in London, despite being set in colonial Australia, which contributes to the stagey theatrical feel. The film was Hitchcock's second film in Technicolor and uses 10-minute takes similar to those in Hitchcock's previous film, Rope. The film was co-produced by Hitchcock and Sidney Bernstein for their short-lived production company, Transatlantic Pictures, and released through Warner Brothers. It was a box office failure, which led to the collapse of Transatlantic Pictures, Hitchcock's production company, with Sidney Bernstein. And after the failure, Hitchcock returned to more traditional suspense filmmaking, beginning with Strangers on a Train.
I made a mistake there, though. It was actually Stage Fright that came out in between this and Strangers on a Train. But still, he went back to the thriller.
Right.
Which was a good move on his part. As always, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you are liking this podcast and you haven't done so, please follow, please subscribe. We encourage everyone to leave comments wherever they're listening or watching, wherever you get your pods. We're on social media platforms, Instagram, X, and best of all, Letterboxd. That's a great, great way to follow us, and we've noticed an uptick in followers there recently. So clearly this messaging is getting through. And of course, if you really like what we're doing and you want to throw a few bucks our way, we do have a Patreon. You can get access to episodes a full week early, ad free, plus some bonus content. All right, Anton. Under Capricorn, why wasn't it better? First reason, the pacing.
Oh, man. Is it a bit of a dead giveaway, the 10-minute shots?
That didn't help.
No.
It didn't help. The pacing, would you say glacial is being kind?
Ooh, it's an offense to glaciers.
I wrote down, thank goodness this is in color. If I had to watch this in black and white, I would have passed out. By the way, I did basically pass out watching this film. I first tried watching this like pretty late one night, and that was a mistake. I had to watch this in 3 separate chunks.
Yeah, I told this to Pat, dear listeners, that I tried as much as I could. I had to keep taking breaks while watching the film, which is very rare. It's very, very rare.
I don't like saying that, too, as a movie podcast host. Like, I really do try to watch this stuff in one sitting if I can.
And I don't want to sound disrespectful. It's just, I think it does say a lot about the content of the film. And I think pacing is a great first place to start. Because this has elements of a drama, but it moves at a snail's pace. It's just very, very difficult.
Now, of course, films were paced slower then. That's not what we're complaining about.
Mm-hmm.
But this is actually, I feel like, pretty long for a 1949 drama. Now, this was 117 minutes, so it clocks in at just under 2 hours. It felt like 3.
And it's, from my perspective, a lot of the work that really drags it down is just heavy dialogue-driven 10-minute set pieces, or like just there's so many frequent shots where it's just the same crew and the same actors, and I swear to you, like they've gone on for 5 minutes, and I don't remember a thing they've said. Like so much of it went over my head. I'd have to go back.
Yeah. A lot of the scenes are set in like drawing rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms. It's just these long stretched out conversations. Now, to your point, we mentioned this a couple times already. We're going to keep mentioning it. Hitchcock was doing this experimentation with these really long 10-minute takes. This was the wrong material for that. It worked much better on the previous film that he had done, Rope. That's a great film. Rope is one of his better films for sure. I mean, this one, I'm right there with you. Like in a bunch of the scenes, I had to pause the film and think about, I'm like, what are they talking about? Like what's the subject of the conversation? It's just an experiment that doesn't work. Yeah. Plain and simple.
I think part of it too is just what do the conversations really accomplish? And one of the things that's very frustrating is even in the beginning of the film, one of the establishing conversations that again lasts for like 10 or 15 minutes, it's all basic. Like it's basically just setting the stage for who the characters are, why are they there, what's going on in town, what is all of the hubbub about, what's the gossip basically. But so much dialogue gets thrown in that there's also a lot of, I guess, slang for the time period that ends up going over my head. So maybe that's a part of it as well, is that some of the dialogue just doesn't translate well for myself in 2026. But I do think that when we get to the meat of it, there is a way to be able to leverage scenes like that, like very dialogue focus, like long set pieces in a more effective way. But I think it was just way too much in this film.
It really was. The dramatic engine doesn't kick in until pretty late. Mm-hmm. And I was, a film can
And
take
it gets kicked off with a tracking shot too.
one of many tracking shots where the camera is doing a lot of movement. It wasn't like Hitchcock was keeping the camera static. It's we're moving in on characters' faces, we're moving back out. I can see what he was trying to do. It's the same thing that he did on Rope, but Rope, the tension in Rope gets established immediately by the two characters who strangle their friend, right? And they have this long dialogue and they set up the entire plot of the film, right? Here, 30 minutes into the film, I still wasn't entirely sure what the plot was. The first 30 minutes I thought were really hard to get through. I mean, you made the point that there's a lot of like slang and gossip, and you're like, what's going, like, where are we going with this? And then there's this specific 40-minute stretch of the film where the movie pretty much dies. You have Lady Henrietta, right? That's Ingrid Bergman's character. She's kind of stumbling around the manor, like drunk or semi-delirious. You have the maid, Millie. She's kind of lurking around. You don't know what her deal is. And then you have the other characters. They're talking about some mystery. They allude to like this, like, oh, there's some secret that she has. Oh, they don't really get into it. There's not enough to, sustain the dramatic tension. And like we keep repeating, everything is played out in these long takes. Would you say at least 20 minutes where the story doesn't advance at all and there's no momentum? You could have cut, a half hour out of this film?
You could. And I think something that helps, or at least stylistically, if I was thinking about different directing techniques, intense scenes like that should probably be used more sparingly. And there has to be more room for scenes to breathe. I feel like everything was very boxed in to just, even if it was like an indoor set.
It was very obviously an indoor set.
Yeah. It was, you're just closed in on characters' faces, their profiles for just way too long. And it just feels like you're looking at a painting, but not in a good way. It feels like you're just kind of watching the same scene for hours, or what feels like hours.
I'm going to say this now. This is not the worst film that we've ever covered for the podcast. I think it might be the most boring.
Yeah, and look, I want to say that I don't want it to sound like I'm maybe not appreciating films from an older time or pacing from an older time, because one of my favorite films of all time was literally released only 3 years after this, in 1952. And the pacing in that film is also, slower compared to today's standards. But Akira Kurosawa did also include a lot of different a lot of different techniques into the film, added as well as some longer dialogue pieces. But for those fans, go watch Ikaru. It's a great film.
To echo what you just said, this is not me complaining about an older film. I like a lot of Hitchcock stuff from this era. I like Rope a lot. I like Strangers on a Train. I love Notorious. That is possibly my favorite Hitchcock movie. I like Spellbound, the other movie that he did with Ingrid Bergman, right? The third one. This has nothing to do with me just not being into the pacing of an older film. I have no problem with the pacing of an older film. But there was not a single minute watching this where I was invested into the story or the mystery. I just don't really know. It all comes down to this, right? The long take thing just killed it. It's the wrong material for that kind of experimentation. Well, let's talk about the next reason then, which is the story. I think even if this film had not had the long takes, I think I would have had issues with it, because I don't think the foundation of the story is a particularly interesting one to me. Quote, a young gentleman goes to Australia where he reunites with his now married childhood sweetheart. There we go. Not his cousin.
Yeah, not his cousin.
Google lies. Only to find out she has become an alcoholic and harbors dark secrets. It's set in 1831 Australia. That is not a particularly compelling premise for me.
Yeah, and first off, it would have been really weird if she was his cousin, especially in that scene where he sneaks into her room from the trellis.
Counterpoint, would it have been normal for that era for upper class people?
I don't know.
Her husband is a former convict, but he's obviously wealthy, which is kind of the draw of why I was reading more into this. So obviously Australia started as a penal colony. The obviously, yes, I understand there were people there before the English said it. I'm talking about the
Yes.
English colony of Australia. Started
Right.
as a penal colony. One of the reasons why a lot of them ended up staying after serving their sentences is it just financially made more sense to just try to make a life, stay in Australia, maybe become farmers, maybe become some kind of merchant. That's
And
what Joseph Cotten's character ended up doing.
And then they established a major supply of beef for the world.
Right. And wine.
Beef and wine. Great exports from
And
Australia.
other things.
We don't get a lot of their beef anymore, though.
I guess we don't know.
A lot of it goes to Canada now, where their beef prices are very affordable.
Is that because of the Trade Federation's tariffs?
Yeah, thanks, Newt Gunray.
Haha, at last, Queen Amidala herself. We are getting results. I could watch a whole movie about the Nemoidians, as you know. It would be more interesting than this. Yeah, so this is, you mentioned, like, this is sort of a drama. I mean, it is.
It's just, is it just not juicy? Is that it?
It's not juicy at all. I mean, there is no dramatic tension in here whatsoever. This is like a Victorian soap opera. It doesn't need to be a thriller.
You start to get some juiciness, right? But I feel like everything else,
too late in the film, though.
It's too late in the film, and the film gets dragged down by all the exposition, by all the conversation, just by how bad the pacing is. That instead of the tension building into like boom goes a dynamite, like where like some sort of unraveling of the tension of the film, there's literally no tension in this film.
No, I mean, I'll give the film this. It picks up in the final 30 minutes, but by that point we've had almost 90 minutes of basically no plot momentum whatsoever.
No, it's just character introduction, conversations, a lot of, and this is the one thing I'll say in the film's favor, some beautiful interior shots. Very like I like the color contrast.
Yeah,
about it.
I'll give it that. I would say it did not benefit from being shot entirely on sound stages. They could have really done themselves a favor by doing, I don't know, any handful of second unit shots on location.
I mean, especially if the film is a period piece, you kind of think like, just take advantage of the fact that you can, do shots in Australia, give it that more life. I would have expected someone like Hitchcock to insist on that.
He was all about that stage stuff, though, the studio stuff.
I was going to say, like, look, some of his best films were stage films.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, like...
When it works, it works.
Like Rear Window, when you see, like, exterior shots of, like, a city, that's all in a stage.
Right. But that had tension.
It did have tension.
Real goddamn tension. And also with this... I was thinking about this. Like, what's the problem with the long takes, right? Because they're running interrupted. You made the point to me earlier today. It's like watching a stage play. The camera movement is basically replacing editing. This film has very, very minimal editing. And it's like
very minimal.
The lack of cuts really does make it seem like a stage play in the worst way possible.
And I enjoy stage plays. And I think it's in the same sense that as a medium, it's very different from film. And this is one of those these are one of those interesting examples where if you translated this to a stage play, it would also be very equally as boring. You can't have the dialogue like this.
Well, the very first Hitchcock film that we covered, Dial M for Murder, is basically a stage play.
Right.
Very different.
Very different.
So our characters. Our main character is Charles Adair, played by Michael Wilding. I mean, I think the actor, he's fine. I don't find him very interesting because he is so passive. He just basically wanders around and talks to people.
He just happens to be there.
Yeah. He's a character. He's very much benefiting from the fact that his cousin is the governor of the colony, right? Or of Sydney or wherever the hell they are. I don't know. He's the governor of something. Right. He's like Governor Tarkin in Star Wars. Like he might use the Death Star.
Grand Moff Tarkin?
Yeah. They call him Governor Tarkin in the original movie, though.
Aye. And
then you get Uncanny Valley Tarkin in Anton's third favorite film, Rogue One.
Brought him out from the freezer.
Yeah. Don't know why they just didn't hire a similar looking actor. No reason to
Nope.
make a CGI target in that film.
And then you get what is it? You get like a 3 seconds of a de-aged Carrie Fisher.
Oh, it looks awful. When she's like, Hope. Gosh, that looks bad. Anyway, we're not talking about Rogue One. I'd rather talk about Rogue One than this. Yeah, so Michael Wilding, I'm not familiar with his work too much. Didn't seem familiar to me. He's fine, but you agree, like he has no agency whatsoever.
No, and there's really not much more to be said about it. Just not a very interesting character.
Joseph Cotten is the husband. I mean, I like him as an actor. He's a very famous, very well-known actor. He's very stiff here. You know, he just looks confused a lot of the time. Have you ever seen Shadow of a Doubt?
Classic.
Yeah. Also directed by Hitchcock. He's really good in that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see a good Alfred Hitchcock, Joseph Cotten collaboration, I highly recommend Shadow of a Doubt.
But here.
Also not entirely sure what his motivations are. Like that's not entirely fair. We know that he's trying to move up in society and acquire more land, right? That's another one of the, I guess, subplots that kind of goes nowhere, right? Because you're only allowed, what did they say? You're only allowed to publicly buy a certain amount of land, but you can do these side deals under the table. It's like a loophole in the system, and he's trying to do more of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else.
There's not much else about it. Like, no, I think he gets. Would you agree that any character motivations for him gets buried in this film? Yeah. Like, it's just
because his motivations don't necessarily have anything to do with the actual mystery involving his wife, played by Ingrid Bergman, who is certainly the standout.
Yeah, it's his actions in the past that are more impactful in the modern day. Any motivations he has for the current day, it doesn't really influence much.
Right, and then of course when the mystery actually gets revealed, which, spoiler alert, on an 85-year-old film, he took the rap for the murder that his wife, played by Ingrid Bergman, committed, and it forced both of them to flee Ireland.
Yeah,
well, by the way, neither of them have an Irish accent.
No,
an Irish accent certainly existed in 1831. They don't have it,
and that explains her love of the drink.
Because she's Irish? What are you saying? What are you implying?
The murder.
Oh, okay. I thought you were stereotyping an entire nation. It's like we don't do that on this podcast, Anton. No. We don't do that here.
No.
But you'd never know she's Irish though, because she doesn't have an accent.
It's true.
By the way, they do say Ireland, right? It's not England.
It's Ireland.
Okay.
It's Orland.
Got some Redbreast downstairs. Great whiskey. Great Irish whiskey. Should have been drinking that for this, but I decided, why not an Australian red from Barossa, the Barossa Valley.
Kangaroo Jack. I just thought of another Australian classic.
Crocodile Dundee.
It's another one. Oh, The Crying Game?
No, not at all.
That was in Australia?
That involves the IRA.
Oh, I was way off.
Yeah, not even close. No.
It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Oh, I'm going to leave that in. I'm not editing that out.
Great. Ghost?
The movie Ghost?
No, I know that was in New York.
Okay. Tony Goldwyn in that. Oh, Carl.
Oh,
you know what? I should have included Ghost on the list of non-horror films that freaked me out when I was a kid. When the demons from hell take the bad characters, it terrified me as a kid.
Oh, man. I think I asked a lot of questions when I was younger and watched that when I was younger.
You agree with me, right? Like, it's horrifying.
Oh, it's horrifying. But like, I'm also like, wait, so was Patrick Swayze just hugging and kissing Whoopi Goldberg?
You mean was Demi Moore hugging and kissing Whoopi Goldberg? Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes, correct.
Right.
That is correct.
That's right. That's the right frame.
Ghost, what a classic. Great movie.
I want to see.
Am
that.
I correct?
I want to see that cut.
Serve me. Wasn't the VHS for that white?
Sounds right. I want to see that cut though. The Whoopi Goldberg Demi Moore cut.
Do you? You know, speaking of off-color VHSs, the Hunt for Red October VHS was red.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's badass.
That's awesome.
Badass.
I love that.
Yeah,
it's like the only one of the few Super Nintendo games that weren't gray was Maximum Carnage. It was red, solid red.
Whoa.
Yeah.
As if you didn't know what you were getting into from the title alone. What are we talking about here? Under Capricorn.
That little that little sidewalk was really fun.
It
This
was.
not so much.
No, it's not. Ingrid Bergman, I mean, she really is excellent here. I do want to give this film
Mhm.
credit for that. She is a legend of the screen.
Of
I don't think
course.
we're going to get to talk about her a ton on this podcast just because we don't have a ton of films from this era on our list, although we are trying to add more. And again, to any of the listeners, if there's anything from this era that you want us to cover and you don't see it on our letterboxd list, write in and suggest it. We're happy to add stuff to the list.
Yeah, I think it's this era of Hollywood. We've talked about it before. Just I love the concept of the star system. Like this was like nuclear. This was the nuclear arms race of different studios at the time, just because there were many more studios at the time.
Right.
Which then, of course, push technology in a specific direction. That's how you get all these new techniques and technology and ways to shoot. It's fun. Even if you get a stinker like Under Capricorn sometimes.
It's a stinker, all right. Here's the top grossing films of 1949. How many of these have you heard of? Jolson Sings Again.
No.
No idea. Battleground.
If it's the film I'm thinking of, I've heard of it.
I mean, I don't know. Is it? It's starring Van Johnson. Oh, Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah,
we know Van Johnson. Yeah. He was the bomber in Airport. We know him.
I know this
friend
one.
of the show, Van Johnson.
I know this film mainly because it's a World War II classic.
I Was a Male War Bride.
No,
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I've seen Sands of Iwo Jima. The John Wayne movie. Not very good. The Stratton Story, Pinky, Mr. Belvedere Goes to College.
I have seen Mr. Belvedere Goes to College.
You've seen that? Good.
Yeah.
Neptune's Daughter, Little Women, and Sorrowful Jones. I've certainly seen Little Women.
I've never seen Sorrowful Jones. I've seen Little Women. Never seen Neptune's Daughter. Sorry, Neptune's Daughter featured the debut of the Academy Award-winning song "Baby It's Cold Outside."
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. All right. Not a slouch. Let's do it.
Should we cover it?
Let's do it. But let's put it down.
So it's not a Christmas movie.
Based on the cover, I don't think it is.
No, it's got a woman diving with a bathing suit on. Doesn't look like a Christmas movie.
It doesn't.
Also starring Ricardo Montalban.
All right, I think this could be a good time. Let's check this out. I feel
like we have to cover it now. There's no reason not to. Well, that'll be a couple years in the future.
All the King's Men was just killing it at the Academy Awards that year.
Yeah, maybe we should cover that as a worst Best Picture winner. I don't know, maybe. Under Capricorn did not make the cut for the top grossing films of 1949. Getting back to the cast, because again, we're trying to keep this under an hour. The performance, Millie, played by Margaret Leighton, I thought poorly acted.
Yeah, pretty poorly acted. I don't know. I don't want to say too much more. Just not great.
I do want to make it clear, this was one of her first films, Margaret Leighton. She became a very accomplished actress in her own right. She was nominated for an Oscar in 1971.
For Marriage Story.
I don't know what she was nominated for. I didn't look that up. We were talking about the accents. They really are all over the place. Okay, we can give this film a slight pass because the Australian accent maybe wasn't developed as we know it in 1831. But for being Irish, a lot of the characters don't sound Irish. Joseph Cotten was attempting some kind of a lilt. If you recall, in a couple of scenes, he was maybe...
If there was anything, there was just probably just a bit more transatlantic going on in this film.
Yes, but I mean, I would say Joseph Cotten clearly just using an American accent, right? He was, maybe in a couple of scenes trying some kind of a lilt, but
a little bit,
maybe. I wonder if that annoyed Hitchcock. Like, no, that's not what they sound like. Someone get me a roast beef sandwich.
Okay, I'm glad we got to food. I think maybe I found why Hitchcock didn't have such a great film with Under Capricorn in 49. I do have the top list of foods from 1949.
You want a sidebar again?
Sure.
I don't think we have a choice. This film it's not very interesting.
Classic comfort foods in American households in 1949. Meatloaf. Okay.
Love it. Love meatloaf.
Pot roast.
Love it.
Fried chicken.
Who doesn't?
And ham with pineapple.
Still in vogue, I think, right?
I don't think as much anymore, but like interesting to think like, it was also the time when early modern shortcuts are becoming like, because of a convenience store boom, it's like easy access to things like to create things like casserole. So like this is when tuna noodle casserole became like, this was like its launching pad year. Chicken a la king, green bean casserole, like very early versions of it.
Great.
And like just a ton of canned and processed foods, because again, this is that era. Campbell's Soup Company like really starts killing it.
This is the post-war boom.
Yeah. So you got like cream of chicken soups, Spam and other canned meats, packaged breads. So there's nothing there that seems quite opulent. And I feel like Hitchcock wants some opulence in his meal.
That's what we heard about him. Before we move on to the next reason, I just have to say, like, this didn't have to be a thriller to be compelling. That's not what we're saying.
Mm-mm.
There's just no dramatic tension here. I don't find the premise interesting. We get the hint of a romance, right? Like, we're thinking in the first 30, 40 minutes, you're like, oh, maybe this is going to be a love triangle, but that doesn't turn out to be one. So we don't get any tension from that. It's all revolving around, frankly, a very uninteresting secret that when it gets revealed, I'm like, okay. And then there was the shrunken head thing, which I didn't get at all.
Neither did I. Care to explain to our audience the shrunken head thing?
Well, at one point, someone on the streets of Sydney Harbor or wherever they are is selling shrunken heads. And then at one point, Ingrid Bergman's character finds a shrunken head in her bed that was put there by the maid to, I guess, freak her out. The maid character, Millie,
why, right?
I don't know.
Why? And like, unless like maybe that was her tactic to like kill someone back in Ireland, was to shrink their heads.
It's certainly not in Ireland.
No.
Well, here's the thing, though. I was looking this up. Shrunken heads doesn't appear to have any place in like native Australian culture either.
I wouldn't assume. I assume it wouldn't.
Because at first I thought like maybe this is some kind of like Aboriginal like native thing she's trying to use to freak out Ingrid Bergman's character, but then it's not. It's not.
It's just freaky. She's just messing with her.
Who would know?
It was one of the more like of the lot of the confusing moments, one of the most confusing moments.
Well, that's the thing. It has these little moments of where they're attempting to go into like supernatural horror territory, but they don't. Last reason, I mean, we can just talk about some of the context of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Guillermo del Toro mentioned this as being one of the influences on Crimson Peak.
Do you buy it?
I mean, he said it, so I choose to believe him. That's my answer.
Maybe stylistically.
With the Victorian setting and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's more of a supernatural horror romance thing, right?
Right.
The French critics at Cahiers du Cinéma in the 1950s consider this to be Hitchcock's best film. Well, what the hell do they know?
They were celebrating some April 20th holiday, I could assume.
Perhaps. Cahiers du Cinéma. Okay, have you ever read the book written by Francois Truffaut, where he interviews Hitchcock?
No, I haven't. No.
You do. You need to.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because Hitchcock talks about this film. He told Francois Truffaut that Under Capricorn was such a failure that the Bankers Trust Company, which had financed the film, they repossessed it, which made it unavailable until the first U.S. network television screening in 1968.
That's interesting. Nowadays, I don't think you really hear about stuff like that happening.
No.
Usually, like, I think if studios anticipate a loss, they just, well, at least Warner Brother just writes them off and then never releases them.
Right. Now, it used to be where if a film didn't do well in the theaters, it could make up for it on
home video,
rentals, TV syndication. That's that's not really a thing anymore, of course. Physical media still sells, but not nearly what it used to.
Yeah,
So it's just like, how's it going to do on streaming?
and then even then, like, is it just I think distribution on streaming is just an incentive to get more subscribers. I don't think you actually make more money for each stream.
No.
So,
well, that's partially why, if you believe Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, which you should, that's why the mid-budget movie has all but been destroyed. It either has to be like low-budget indie, under 10 million, or $100+ million blockbuster. Very hard to get anything in between greenlit. Doesn't mean you can't, just a lot harder. Like, remember when we covered Presumed Innocent with Jay last year? Yeah. We talked about how that is literally a streaming series now. That would never be greenlit as a like high-profile theatrical film at this point. It was just it makes way more sense to do it as a streaming series.
Yeah, which is it's true. It makes it a bit of a bummer for kind of expectation-wise for what is going to come out. Yeah.
To get back to that book, though, really worth a read. I forget what it's called. It's like Conversations Between Filmmakers or something like that.
So, sorry, really quick. So that means we're never going to get like an Aaron Brockovich today, because that was a low-budget or mid-budget film.
It would probably be like a Hulu director. Actually, no, because Disney's getting rid of Hulu, so it would be like a Prime Video original.
Yeah.
Did you see that new Jack Ryan movie is like going to be on Prime?
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago, Jack Ryan movies were blockbusters.
I was going to say, you're going to get like studios wouldn't skip out on the opportunity to have people go into the movie theaters to see these kinds of films.
Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to say.
But I don't know. Look, I'm also not thinking about all the action films that were B-movie action films that don't get as much distribution.
Right. Plus, before that, you had the direct-to-video stuff. We are doing everything but talk about Under Capricorn.
Yeah.
I wish there was more to talk about with this, but I mean, we're coming to the end here. I'm trying to keep us on track for the time limit we set for ourselves.
But unique in a sense, the only dabbling in period dramas.
Well, no. He did like Rebecca before this, which was a very acclaimed movie. That won Best Picture, actually. But not common, to your point. And after this, he completely abandoned them. He would double down on thrillers. Within 5 years. Here's what I want to say. Neither of us like this film at all, but we should be grateful for it because he learned from his mistakes. Within the next 5 years, we got Strangers on a Train, Rear Window, Dial M for Murder, and To Catch a Thief.
It's impressive.
Pretty good. The 50s is where Hitchcock peaks. This is where he really hits his stride. You really think about that run that he had from like Strangers on a Train until The Birds. You could put up against really any filmmaker, right? I mean, think about all that. You had, I just mentioned these, but I'll rip them off again. Strangers on a Train, Rear Window, Dial M for Murder, To Catch a Thief, some other stuff that was like not as well received, but still did well, like The Man Who Knew Too Much. And then what does he give us? Vertigo, North by Northwest, Psycho, The Birds. Come on. Some of the greatest movies of all time were made during that 15-year-ish span. Less than 15 years.
Safe to say he figured it out for him.
Absolutely figured it out. But the period costume drama thing, it just wasn't his thing. Like, he's called the master of suspense for a reason.
There's like I'm trying to think of like other directors maybe that follow the same, or you could look at similar examples case study wise, but it's really hard for me to think about directors that have also jumped between genres like period dramas and whatever they're well known for. It's tough. You know what? I will say Ang Lee. I know like not a lot of love for Hulk around here.
No, it's a terrible film and you know it.
Yeah, but he has a lot of films that he's made across a variety of genres. Yeah. But I think I think it's fair to say that grounded dramas are like usually involving around romance or family are where Ang Lee shines. But
yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, but films like superhero films, probably not. Like, no, not really.
Like I may not ever get over Gemini Man. Like I told you, I think he should have had both Oscars taken away from him. Imagine if the Oscars did that. If like, you know, when he wins Best Director for Brokeback Mountain,
Yeah,
imagine if at the ceremony they were like, the winner, the Oscar goes to Ang Lee, but because he directed The Hulk 2 years ago, we've decided to give it to someone else.
that's hilarious. I don't know if that's ever gonna happen, but
I don't think it will.
yeah.
Hitchcock never won an Oscar, which is crazy. But
Oh man, I forgot about this one.
did you
The
want
ice-
to be kind
the
to
ice
this
storm.
film too? Because I did. I'm like, I don't want to
I want-
trash a Hitchcock film.
I wanted to be, just like I wanted to be kinder to the film 1997's The Ice Storm.
That's an interesting Ang Lee film. I don't think it's horrible.
I don't think it's horrible either. I think it's super underrated.
It's okay.
It did not make its money back.
No, it didn't. Well, that's the kind of movie. I mean, why would it? You know, it's like
Yeah,
that's a tough subject matter.
Like, yeah, I was gonna say, like, who's this film made for?
Right. Ang Lee. Man, I hope he has a comeback because he hasn't done anything I've liked in a long time.
I think what's interesting is Ang Lee's able to make so many films with this, like, even though he comes from a very, like, you know, he comes from a foreign background, films made with an American, that should be from an American lens, translate really well. And I think it's just because he understands human nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
He also
Ang
made
Lee-
Gemini Man.
but so maybe he also understands pain.
He understands paychecks.
He understands torture.
Torture. Well, his heart's in the right place because remember, like we talked about on the Hulk episode, like we knew, like I understand what he was trying to do. I just don't think it was the right subject matter for what he was trying to do. I
Right.
don't know what Hitchcock was trying to do here, other than he was trying to experiment with this long take camera thing, and he picked the absolute worst subject matter to do it for.
And I think like this is something else I want to call out. I think it's hard for me to articulate when I do, like, what qualities would show this, but I don't think this necessarily felt inspired. Like, I didn't feel necessarily like Hitchcock was going all in this film.
Not at all.
Because I really, if you told me like, oh, like Hitchcock's going to do a period drama set in, like, you know, 1800s, like Australia, and I'm like, all right, cool, let's check it out. Like, I'm sure it'll be good. This would be my first take.
Yeah, initially, yeah. And, you know, the dialogue-centric thing, that in itself is not a bad thing. You think about, compare this film's dialogue scenes to possibly the most interesting segment of Dial M for Murder. It's about a 20-minute stretch where Ray Milland is trying to convince Anthony Dawson to murder his wife, played by Grace Kelly. It is 100% dialogue.
Yeah.
It is filmed and edited and acted and written masterfully. That is that scene had the drama that I wish that this film wishes it had.
But this didn't. It did not have masterful dialogue.
It had none of it.
Yeah,
This makes Torn Curtain look like Mission Impossible.
that's fair.
Now, before we close this out, I have to say this because I think you probably have similar thoughts. I came prepared to defend this. Like, I really did not want to trash a Hitchcock film. I was like, man, like me, like as I was watching it, I was like, this absolutely sucks. I hate watching this. I was like, but I don't want to bash a Hitchcock film. Like, there's got to be something I can defend about this film. I couldn't do it, and it really pains me.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I think that my opinion isn't going to take away from the legend that is Alfred Hitchcock and his impact and influence on film.
Of course not.
In the same sense that, like, just having this film doesn't necessarily, like, blemish his body of work. So I think it's fine. I think it's fine if we're making these observations. I think it's fine if we recognize just this isn't his best work, because as you just mentioned not too long ago, the man went on a heater. So it's okay. It's okay if this one's a bit of a stinker.
I wrote down the word ponderous. That's what I thought when watching this. This really did suck, didn't it?
It really did. I don't want to
Ratings
watch it. I don't want to watch this again. Yeah,
No,
let's
hell
do it.
no. I will go first here. I'll
Mhm.
set the tempo for you. This is Hitchcock's biggest dud that I've seen. He made 50-something films. Now, there's plenty of them that I still haven't seen. Really, any of his silent stuff, most of his British sound stuff I haven't seen. And then from his Hollywood era, I still have to see Stage Fright, I Confess, The Wrong Man, Parodying Case, The Trouble with Harry, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and then all of his latter era stuff. I haven't seen Topaz or Friendly. I saw Family Plot a long time ago and don't remember a lot about it. So I'm going to basically put that into the category of I haven't seen it. Of the ones that I've seen, which is, I just tallied it up, I've seen 25 of his films. This is the worst. They weren't all going to be good. This is not one of the good ones. This is an oddball outlier in the totality of his filmography. I respect him for trying something different. It just doesn't work here. The long takes that he was experimenting with at the time, they make a slow story seem all the slower. And even an excellent performance from Ingrid Bergman is not enough to sustain it. There's just no dramatic tension here. And I really struggled to get through this. There's almost nothing here to recommend other than Bergman's performance, but that's not enough for me to actually recommend this to someone, because you can just watch Ingrid Bergman in a lot of other films to get a sense of what a great actor she was. The stuff she did with Hitchcock, right? We mentioned Notorious and Spellbound. Those are far better films, and I would highly recommend both of them. But for Under Capricorn, the pacing is glacial, the story is inert, scene after scene just drifts by without any urgency, there's no escalation. Hitchcock's entire reputation is built on tension and visual storytelling. This feels completely off. If I wasn't positive that Alfred Hitchcock directed this, I would have never known. It's not that this film is just bad, it just doesn't feel like Hitchcock. It is tremendously boring. This is an absolute F for me. I cannot recommend this.
You just said what would have been the first sentence of my opening, which is, this doesn't feel like an Alfred Hitchcock film. I feel like it's too rare that I can even think of moments where I can't find just multiple things that I can appreciate in the film. There's just a couple things. Like you mentioned, Ingrid Bergman. I actually really like the color contrast in the film and seeing different colors pop within the film. I think those are things that have been a bit of a mainstay in Hitchcock's work. But those are not things that I can really say save this film at all. This film is incredibly boring. The dialogue is just insufferable at times. I really mean it when I say there were moments where 5 minutes, 10 minutes would go on and I just go blank and I just feel like nothing felt absorbed. And that is one of the worst film experiences that anyone can go through, is just feeling bored and unengaged. And that's how I felt like this film, just, which is again sad because it's a Hitchcock film, but that's fine because it sounds like this was much more of an experiment for him, and it was the pivot into one of the greatest all-time runs in film history. So don't worry, listeners. Alfred Hitchcock did just fine after this. But this film, it's... I hate to say it. I think I'm landing at an F as well.
Even the greats have their duds.
And that's a big dud.
It's a big dud, but it's okay. Like you said, he did fine. Well, that's it for Under Capricorn, and that is it for this edition of Why Wasn't It Better? Thanks for listening, and see you next time.